Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Scott Jennings just doesn't run around the CNN panel. He gets the CNN reporter absolutely livid, and when you do that, you're over the target. Let's dive in.
Who's going to bear the brunt of the responsibility if indeed there is a shutdown of our government?
Well, if you say who gets fired, it always has to be the top. I mean, problems start from the top, and they have to get solved from the top, and the president's the leader, and he's got to get everybody in a room, and he's got to lead.
Scott, what do you make of those comments given what the White House is arguing today?
Well, the president did try to bring them into the room the other day, and they wouldn't budge. I mean, look, the facts here are pretty simple. The Republican Party has put on the floor and voted for a clean, continuing resolution, no changes. These are Biden budget numbers, by the way, and numbers that Democrats have voted for 13 times. Nothing up our sleeves here, Caitlin. They're trying to keep the government open long enough to negotiate things like the health care issue, which you were just debating, which I actually think maybe Republicans will wind up dealing on that. But they're not going to do it under duress, and they're not going to do it under threat of rolling back all the Medicaid reforms that were done this summer. So I think President Trump tried to bring the Democrats in. And at the end of the day, I think the American people know here they're looking at two parties. One's trying to do a bunch of funny business. One's trying to keep the doors open. And right now, I don't think the funny business side is winning in the eyes of the American people.
Karen, what's your view on that?
Well, I just want to correct something. You know, Scott, you know how much I respect you, but let's be honest here.
I don't need to be corrected, and I don't need to be told I'm dishonest, Karen. But by all means, go ahead.
I didn't say it. I said let's be honest with the American people here.
I am.
Well,
you ought to try
CR that I'm doing it right now, brother. So the CR is that the Republicans have proposed is actually not clean. It's pretty dirty because it includes the $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts that the American people themselves have made clear they do not like. So it is not the same. I think it would be a very different moment and conversation if literally we were talking about what was passed in 2024. That is not the actual fact of the case.
Scott, you want to respond?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, we're stunned. I'll just be honest with you. We're stunned. I mean, the Democratic constituencies are principally immigration populations and government workers. And right now,
I'm a Democrat, and I'm not an immigrant, and I'm not a government worker.
You're putting one on top of
yourself.
You're putting one on top of the other.
My mother is a Democrat. She's not an immigrant. She's not a government worker.
This is what your party relies on, and you've closed shop on government in Washington, D.C., and eventually they're going to get tired of it. There is no reason this government cannot be left open.
So you're saying the 75 million Americans who voted for Kamala Harris were all immigrants?
No,
that's not true.
I'm saying I'm listening to Democratic arguments about most policy issues, and I'm looking at Democratic energy, and it mostly has to do with things to do with immigrants, illegal and some legal, and things to do with government bureaucrats. And right now you're putting one of your constituencies out of business.
Can I say one thing, which is that people who are in the country illegally cannot get these subsidies that we're talking about.
Sure they can.
No, they can't.
No, they can't. It's federal law, Scott.
Who do you think pays when they go to the emergency room? It's the Medicaid emergency program.
Going to the emergency room is not getting an Obamacare subsidy.
You guys are conflating. You guys are conflating these issues.
You're
conflating these issues.
And you're being dishonest with
the subsidies are a separate issue. The Medicaid program cuts are a different thing.
Right, but I'm talking about subsidies.
And the Obamacare stuff are two different issues. And I said the subsidies may get negotiated over time. But what Democrats want to do is roll back what the Republican Medicaid reforms were. They want, look, I don't understand why everybody's so mad. For time immemorial, Democrats have argued that it's good. It's good for illegal immigrants to get Medicaid. Every candidate for president in 2020 raised their hand for it. In the big, beautiful bill debate, they argued it was good policy. I can't believe there's an about-face of the Democratic Party on it today.
Hold on. I got a question for Karen, but Scott, I will say, people who are in the country illegally also can't get Medicaid.
Sure they can.
Law.
Sure they can.
They can't get Medicaid.
They also
Medicare,
can't register to vote. They also can't register to vote, but we just found one in Maryland who was running the Des Moines school system.
Oh, my God, one!
I mean, I'm telling you, you guys say these things can't happen, and then they happen.
Scott, but I'm just saying it's federal law. And
you can run cover for it if you want, but they do get federal tax money. They get federal tax money. Ask Jake, he had it on today.
I'm just saying it's against federal law to do that.
It is.
Good luck with it.
Like I said, the angrier they get, the more you're over the target. See, here's the fundamental issue that the Democrats are having on this continuing resolution. And I've spoken ad nauseum about the fact that Chuck Schumer's really doing this because he's trying to flex some muscles, see where the Democrats really are, and see how far he can push the needle by himself doing it instead of the crazier, more loony wing of the party doing it. He's trying to bring back some sanity to his own side. So there actually is something good on his side happening, even though, all we needed were a couple of Democrats to say, hey, we're in swing states. We think we can pass this legislation without too much damage. But man, this reporter is just screeching like a peacock because she's being called out. Because first off, there are 3 big claims here, and 2 of which really got her goat. The first claim that she has made herself is, and that Caitlin Collins was doing as well. They were talking about the idea that, the president said this at one time about government shutdowns. Well, where's the leadership now? Well, first off, never play tit for tat in this sort of political game, because I remember a time when Democrats would be just screeching that how dare the Republicans try to shut down the government. Again, this rhetorical tit for tat, it never ends well, because there's enough sound bites on each other that I always ignore them. I always ignore that style of rhetoric. If you're 64 years or older, you probably want to listen to this one. The Department of Justice just went after 3 of the biggest Medicare providers, all for claiming that they were unbiased, while allegedly steering seniors into plans that provided them the best kickbacks. This just goes to show you can't trust any old Medicare provider to have your back. But navigating Medicare alone, that can be a total nightmare. That's why I want you to know about Chapter. They flip the script on the system by comparing every Medicare plan, not just the ones that give them the highest kickbacks. That's how they help people save, on average, $1,100 per year. If your plan's already the right fit, they'll tell you. And if there's a better plan out there, they'll help you switch. So if you're ready to fight against a rigged system, call Chapter today and get advice from people in your corner. So not only should you ignore that as well, what you should care about are the circumstances. The president has brought Democrats in, tried to talk with them, tried to reason with them. They don't want to be reasoned with. And again, it's a Chuck Schumer power play for his own team, and not to show just how strong the Democrat Party really is. There's a whole lot more going on with this, and I expect this is going to last for another week or so before people really get antsy. The second claim, however, is the interesting one, in my opinion. Not the illegal immigrant one, and trust me, we'll get to that. But the claim that Scott Jennings had about the Democrat Party's core constituency seems to be illegal immigrants and government workers. Well, guess what? In this case, the hit dog is going to bark. This woman immediately made it about herself, saying, I'm not an immigrant. I don't work for the government. My parents weren't immigrants. They don't work for the government. Well, ma'am, let me ask you this question. If you didn't have breakfast this morning, how would you feel? And see, this is a good litmus test for whether someone is actually capable of having a deeper conversation. If their answer is, well, I'd probably feel a little bit better, because a lot of people have been skipping breakfast now. But if they answer, I did have breakfast this morning, that means they're incapable of asking truly intricate concepts. They have no idea what the question that has been asked because they care more about themselves and they aren't able to separate themselves from a higher idea. Yeah, that's when you know that Scott Jennings is not going up against their best and brightest. And Caitlin Collins kind of falls into this category too. But the big one of this entire conversation, do illegal immigrants really get federal funding? Well, yes, by definition they have. And we keep finding these examples over and over and over again, and the moment we point them out, the Democrats just kind of plug their fingers in their ears and go, la 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 la, I'm not listening. And for some reason, it works for them. Mainly because people like Caitlin Collins will run point on this issue, where she twice had to state, mind you, not actually address the potential issue. That's another thing that Democrats do. Not only do they deflect and deny, actually this is a part of deflection. If the facts sound strong enough, they'll keep on pushing, even though they're either forgetting entire sets of data points, or they're ignoring things that just might run in the face of their narrative. They'll do this all the time, and it's tough for the Republicans to break on through, but the moment Scott Jennings said, actually, I've got an example right here off the top of my head. We just found one doing this in Maryland twice, and, the panelist just throws up her hands and oh my, you found the one exception to the rule. Again, madam, how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? A lot of these folks on CNN either know the truth or they're obfuscating on the truth, which means that they know the truth. That means they're at least conscious of it and capable of being redeemed. But if they just obfuscate the truth, that means they've kind of forgotten what it is. That's sort of what's happening here. Caitlin Collins is trying to keep this debate civil. Scott Jennings is once again being pleasantly derisive to the point of just reminding her, hey, if... I'm forgetting the quote off the top of my head. I'm usually good at remembering that. But when she says, I want to be honest with you, Scott, that does imply that Scott is being dishonest. And that little quip right there does show that Scott has realized how to play this game without sounding mean-spirited, but while sounding strong. This actually used to be a topic that Democrats used to use on Fox News back in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Where they would have these strong quips back and forth, and occasionally they would even fluster guys like Bill O'Reilly. And Republicans have now realized that the mainstream media will not allow them, until recently, the ability to have longer, smarter conversations. Now they have, and now you get Scott Jennings roasting CNN on these basic things that they should be getting correct. But they won't, because the guys that they are catering to are rich white liberals, and for some reason, the constituency of rich white liberals are indeed illegal immigrants and government workers. Funny little world, isn't it? But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politbro. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.